The American presidential election between a humble and compassionate Democrat and a tough-talking Republican that built his reputation through television and film ended in a landslide for the Republican candidate. Americans were facing double-digit inflation, a worsening crisis in the Middle East, and a culture war stoked by conservative voices. The Republican president vowed to eliminate what he called wasteful government spending, cut taxes for the upper class, pull back on regulations to appease big businesses, and cull various social programs that many Americans depended on while also calling for an increase in spending on the military. The broad result of this president's policies included a worsening recession, the elimination of social safety nets for the lower and middle class, and one of the furthest widening gaps between the rich and the poor. Not to mention controversial conflicts abroad, including numerous war crimes. While these details could easily be contemporary, this was America in the 1980s under President Ronald Reagan. Perhaps a glimpse of the hell that is to come under a second term of incoming President Donald Trump. From a church basement broadcasting a pirate podcast intended to wake you up to the truth, this is Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Jared Rusk, and I'm joined by my burly, long-haired co-host Will Taylor as we explore both new and familiar movies to bring you details and discussion about them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves. Today's episode, the conclusion to our dystopian movie series with the most comedic film so far, a film that's both so absurd and yet eerily relatable, an action-adventure horror film from the master that brought us the likes of Halloween, The Thing, and Escape from New York, a film that serves as the progenitor of so many memes and catchphrases, yet so few people have actually seen it. The title of today's film, They Live. Stay tuned.
You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you?
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells.
Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
I knew you were doing Reagan.
Of course.
I knew it.
Yeah.
We're going to be living the
Piece of
80s
shit.
again. It's
I
going to
know,
be bad.
I heard.
Yeah.
So cool, though. 80s
Is it
are great.
cool?
80s are great.
The 80s are great. From what I've learned from the
No, that's
second
bad.
Predator movie, the 80s fucking sucked.
No, it's bad. It's just, you wear neon. That's all it is, right?
Oh, is that all we got to do?
That's all it is. It's
Oh, okay.
fine.
I'll put some fucking neon on.
Yeah, it's fine.
Folks, welcome back to Debaser. We have a very special guest today. The great Steven Meadows is back with us again.
Hi, I'm back.
Steven, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I really
It's
wanted you
so
on this
much fun.
episode.
Yeah.
I think of you as a John Carpenter guy.
I like John Carpenter. There's
Yeah.
some I haven't seen, but I really need to.
That's okay. He has 10 or 11 great films.
Yeah.
And they were like consecutive.
Had a
he
pretty
did
good
them
run.
like pretty much everything after Dark Star.
Mhm.
Is that it? That weird like
Yeah, that was like his
that
first
space movie he made in
experimental
college or something.
thing that he did. Yeah.
Everything. It's like from Assault on Precinct 13 all the
that's
way
a good
to this.
Yes.
To They Live. So it's like Halloween. I don't. This is going to be out of order, but it's like Halloween, The Thing, Assault on Precinct 13,
Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, Christine. They Live.
I've seen a couple of
It's
these,
one of
actually.
it's not a great movie, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
They Live. So that's 7. I forget all of them, but like that's already
No, it's
like
good.
What a fucking guy, man! Like incredible director. Had
Yeah.
an amazing run in the 80s.
Excellent musician as well.
Also does the score for a lot of his films. Great shit. Okay, we're ending our dystopian movie series,
That's right.
and I wanted to go out on a high note. I wanted to do a fun one, not a sad one.
And that's why we didn't do Parasite.
Oh yeah. Oh well, I want something. Is that a dystopian movie?
It's a
It's a pre-dystopian
we're
movie.
living into dystopia.
Yeah,
so
no,
might as
it's
well
not
be.
far fetched at all. That's like
Yeah.
that could happen at any point in
It's
time.
happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so as They Live. All right, today's film, They Live. This was released on November 4th, 1988.
Okay, yeah.
That's special, not that year, but that's a special date for me. The movie is available on VOD, anywhere you buy or rent movies. It is not streaming anywhere at the moment that I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I don't know if that's a coincidence, because of its themes or not.
They're
but,
trying to keep us down, dude.
I mean, you have to wonder, The film stars Roddy Piper, Keith David, and Meg Foster. The premise, and I feel like this is a lazy premise. I don't know if it just got jacked from the poster or what.
Sure.
but there's not like a lot of marketing for this movie being done right now, or ever maybe. But the premise is they influence our decisions without us knowing it. They numb our senses without us feeling it. They control our lives without us realizing it. They live.
I mean, that is vague, but
that's
also
pretty simple.
Yeah.
But it's like a poster slogan. It's
Yeah,
not
no, it's not a
uh,
breakdown or a small, like,
no,
snippet
normally
of
the
what
premise
happens.
is like a 1-2 sentence explanation
Yeah.
of the film.
Yeah.
Watch
I mean,
a
like,
dude with no name shoot a couple of people. By a couple of people, I mean like 20.
I mean, like it's. I feel like it's like one of the originators of like going woke, so to speak. Like it feels like it's. I don't know. It feels like it's a pretty simple premise. It's like, oh, there's aliens amongst us, and they've been controlling us the whole time.
Or ghoul.
Well,
That's it.
I won't spoil it, but I got something going on later that I think would be a fun premise for it if we were to rewrite it. So the film was written and directed by John Carpenter, and it is based on a short story called 8 o'clock in the morning by
It's
Ray
based.
Nelson.
It's based.
It is based. And fun fact, Ray Nelson is also the inventor of the propeller hat.
Yeah, I read
saw
that
that
on his
with the-
Wikipedia page
Yeah.
because I just ran through it after
Hold
I
on,
read the story.
The propeller hat?
Yeah. You think of like a
Yeah.
stereotypical nerd in like an old comic, like
Wearing a
has.
propeller on his
Yeah.
He invented that. He was also a
As like
cartoonist.
it's like a signifier of like a science fiction weirdo or dork.
What the fuck? That's
Yeah, isn't
so
that
tight.
weird?
That's tight as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The film had a budget of $3 million. And
As I learned today,
Yeah.
is John Carpenter's bread and butter.
yeah, most of his films had a low budget like that. And, you know, he spent every single dime of that. And the film grossed $13 million domestically.
That's a success? Question mark.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's more than triple its budget. And it also was number one at the box office the week it premiered.
Oh, no shit.
Mm-hmm.
Did it? Hold on. Did it have a copycat like Taxi Driver did?
You know, there was a film that came out, I think, the same week or the week before called Alien Nation, I believe it was called.
Uh-huh.
And it was about how aliens... Now, it wasn't like a class consciousness like kind of theme like this one.
Like this one is,
But it was
yeah.
about how aliens live amongst us. I've never seen it, so I don't know the premise.
Gotcha.
But I remember seeing that in the top box office for the week. And you could argue it's somewhat similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if it's one of those, like, maybe a studio got
Copycat
notes.
killers, like in
like
Taxi
somebody
Driver, because Taxi Driver
inspired.
inspired what's his name?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe so. I've never seen a murderer attributed to this movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Did you have one in mind?
No, I didn't. I was
You
just
were like
asking
legit,
because,
like, has this ever inspired someone to like shoot up a bank or something?
Well, I mean, if you, I feel like you're going to get into this later,
Yeah,
but like
for
the way in
sure.
which
yeah, I do. And I
right
have
wing like crazies
People try to
have been
co-opt
so
co-opted.
fucking funny because I said the exact same thing before you came over here.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I asked is because like we watched Taxi Driver and asked the question like, did we need this story out there because like it inspired somebody to do an act of violence?
Yeah.
And this movie is literally a call to action in a way of having class consciousness. And I was just curious if anybody used this as inspiration to go do something.
No, they use it as inspiration to invade pizza restaurant basements.
Was that this one?
I mean,
Possibly.
broadly.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I will say this movie did inspire not a shooting, but a graffiti artist, Shepard Fairley. He did the famous Obey poster,
Oh, no shit.
which he just ripped off this movie for.
I got you. Yeah.
And he also did the famous Obama Hope poster.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
So,
That
so
is-
he's kind of a household name because of those posters.
The
He
Obama
made
Hope poster is like actually like original. Like
Well, but you can see how he got, like, that's his style. And for the listener
Yeah.
at home, like, pull up the Obey poster and it'll be the first result. And that's clearly cribbed from the production design of today's movie.
absolutely.
And then he was commissioned by the Obama campaign way back in like 07, to do that Hope poster, which was like similar in style. So like without They Live, we
I can
wouldn't have
see
had
it.
Obama as president probably.
That's pretty wild if you think about it.
Interesting.
Okay, let's roll back into that and I'll drop that in at the beginning. I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
I was like rolling right into this. So They Live. Will, do you want to guess the tomato meter for They Live?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
So let me put this over here.
Now, this is modern. It's not just reviews from the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would say that it has a 76.
87.
Oh,
I was gonna 80s was my first guess, and then I was like, no, it had to have been dragged down by some people who are trying to protect those in power.
The interesting. I will say,
those in power.
if this was purely based on 80s reviews, it may have been 76.
I don't doubt that.
Because John Carpenter has had like reappraisals, in recent like contemporary reviews where they're like, we were actually like overlooking how good his movies
too
were.
hard on him,
and people there were not a lot of glowing reviews about him at the time. In fact, he even throws in a thing near the end of They Live where he's making fun of Roger Ebert and Siskel.
He's like backing up his buddy George Romero. Were they good friends? Or
Well, and they made similar genre films around the same time.
This is true.
That's why, yeah. But yeah, they have two guys that look exactly like Siskel and Ebert, like criticizing the films of John Carpenter and George Romero. It's fun. But yeah, they were kind of like shitted on in their time, and then I think because people grew up watching them, and then they got a lot of like cable play that people came out of the 90s and 2000s being like, no, John Carpenter actually fucking rules.
The Thing is one of my all-time favorite horror movies.
For sure. Me too.
It's so
love
good.
The Thing. Yeah.
I think it's regularly praised as like one of the top 5 horror films, and it wasn't recognized in its time for sure. It's also Keith David's first movie. Did you know that?
The Thing?
The Thing was Keith David's first film role.
Really?
Yeah, he was a Juilliard trained dancer too.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, I'll get into that fight scene later, but Roddy Piper, the lead of our film.
Wait, did you say Keith David was in The Thing?
Yeah.
He was in The Thing?
He's the other guy with Kurt Russell that makes it to the end.
And
they're like, they don't know if either one is the...
I never fucking recognized.
You have not known to this day who Keith David is.
Guys, let me tell you something. I'm a big Halo fan. I fucking love
I know. That's why I thought for sure you would know him as the Arbiter. You're like, oh yeah, that's Keith David, film actor.
Yeah.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker.
Look, man. I have face blindness. Actually been a hot minute since I've seen The Thing again. So that's on me. It's been like 5 or 6 years. I'm sure I'll immediately pick it up.
His voice is so distinctive.
I know.
Oh, trust me, I know. Like, I remember one time I played like so much fucking Halo growing up and shit, and then he popped up in an animated film. I was like, oh, that's the Arbiter. I didn't know his fucking name, but I was like, hey, there he is.
Like recently, he's been in Rick and Morty a lot.
Yeah,
as
he's
the president.
Oh, he's the president.
Which he's very fun. You can tell he has like a good. He's able to roll with it. He like really commits to it. Like it's really fun to.
Isn't he Captain Anderson in Mass Effect?
Yes,
he is. Yeah, that's the other one too. I was like, oh hey, it's the Arbiter.
Yeah.
Oh hey, it's Captain Anderson. That's actually how I referred to him when I was watching Rick and Morty. I was like, oh, it's Captain Anderson. Look at that.
I think it's Saints Row 3. He plays himself, and he can be one of your like companions.
Yeah,
and you can like attempt to romance him, but then he shuts it down so fast.
That's excellent.
But it literally, like, there's like a button prompt that's like romance Keith David, and he goes, I don't know what you're trying to do, but stop.
I love him, man. He's fantastic.
I love him.
Yeah. But yeah, his character is just Keith David, because they're like, we can't top, like, it's just Keith David. He's Keith David in this game, he's so good. Okay, critics.
Sorry.
Critics were praising. No, that was oh God. Keith David fucking rules, man. So good in Nope, too.
I cannot believe he was in The Thing.
I know. Okay. Reviewing They Live in 2018 for The Guardian, film critic Phil Hode gave the film a positive review, saying, the film was responding to the start of the U.S. Rust Belt and Reagan-era consumerism, but its themes of working-class subjugation and omnipresent media control have only become more pressing. Meanwhile, film critic James Kendrick panned the film, calling it a smart movie wrapped inside a dumb movie. Over on Letterboxd... Oh, go ahead.
No, I can see that.
I know. I pulled it because it's like, it's fair. I do like to pull fair... panning reviews or criticisms.
There's a reason why he does it, not me. All I would do is either glaze it up if I like the movie or fucking shit on it if I hate the movie. I can't be objective.
Over on Letterboxd, user Zara gave the film 4 stars, writing, John Carpenter says, what if capitalism was invented by aliens? That was, I think, a better premise than the official one.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, actually... Now that you mention it,
yeah.
What if aliens invented capitalism? Boom, zinger. You put in the quotation marks, you're done.
Throw it on the poster, baby. I'm not going to run through the plot of this movie because it's not a plot-focused film.
Okay, so what do you have? What do you want to discuss? Because
Well,
we literally just got done watching it because I've never seen this movie before until today.
I know. I was excited to show it to you in person, and also I have a 4K steelbook that I wanted to crack open.
Right, makes sense. I am at the time of this recording 34 years old, and I've never seen this fucking film.
Yeah,
but I've seen it referenced.
I saw it when I was 30. So
okay.
Yeah, and I was just shocked that I had never seen it before.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I also was watching it when so there's a very important scene where they're bulldozing
the
homeless encampment.
Camp,
and that was literally happening on the news at the time when I first watched
in California.
This. And granted, it happens a lot, but
it
people
does.
were doing it. Cities were cracking down on it big time. And I think their excuse was health and stuff.
Well, now it's illegal to be homeless.
Yeah, now it's straight up illegal to be homeless in Florida. You cannot sleep in public.
Can you think of any other movie that's been depicted in like that type
Honestly,
of
no.
just
Destroying homeless camps?
It was I know it's real. It's just it is a very upsetting thing to witness where you're seeing people who have nothing lose whatever it is they have.
Yeah, being further oppressed.
Yeah.
A lot of movies will maybe dabble in depicting homelessness or a Skid Row type of, setting, but it's never either where the protagonists spend their time kind of thing. I mean, it's not something where the protagonist spends a lot of time or where they originate or where they, they're the kind of people that they are, embedded with essentially, we are in this film. They are the protagonists, the people in this camp essentially. And,
keep going, but I'm
okay. But also, the straight up see the police just bulldozing it down and terrorizing these poor people who have done nothing wrong except to just to not have anything to go home to, kind of thing. And I appreciate that the film is willing to go there and show how evil this is to do.
Yeah, it is pretty evil. I've seen clips of it happening in real life, but you're right, that's not usually televised. I was gonna say District 9.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah,
there you go. Because
you're right. That's a good one because it's using it as in place for aliens, but it is depicting a shanty town of refugees. Thank you. I was trying. It's not immigrants. I was trying to think of the other word.
If you think about homeless is kind of just it's local refugee.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. But and District 9's whole thing is it's speaking on immigration, but with a sci-fi premise.
And they
unlike today's film.
They have police go in. That's how it starts off. And then Vicus does have to.
Right. Our protagonist in that film is actually kind of one of the oppressors.
Yeah. And then he turns to see
it from the other side.
Yeah. I think he even has to sleep with a box over him at one certain point when he has the alien arm. When he goes and hides. Yeah. He's sleeping under a box, which is super uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, that's a good call. That is one of the other a few examples, and it's even in the sci-fi genre that's similar to this in this depictions. That's good pull there.
I love District 9.
Good job.
We still haven't talked about it.
The one Neil Blomkamp movie we haven't done, weirdly enough. We'll never do District 9 or Gran Turismo.
So we're never going to do Gran Turismo, but I would like to talk about District 9 eventually.
Yeah.
I know.
We'll get to it for sure.
That's great.
Let's just really quick, top level run down the plot so that if the people listening haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Basically, we're introduced to Roddy Piper,
whose name is Nada,
who plays a character named Nada, correct?
Because he has not a name.
And he's just walking into town.
Yep.
To a very cool theme song. And he's looking for work because he's he's down on his luck, out of work, looking for somewhere to just get an honest day's work for an honest day's pay.
Yeah.
And he's getting turned down left and right. He finally finds a construction yard that's willing to hire him, and that's where he meets Keith David, who kind of takes a shining to him, and they befriend each other. And then they go and stay at this homeless encampment when they're not working. And while they're there, they notice the church across the street that's helping feed and clothe them while they're there. He notices a lot of weird stuff is going on, so he investigates and finds that it feels like a cover for something. And he finds a bunch of sunglasses inside and notices that when he puts on the sunglasses, the whole world looks different. Everything is in black and white.
Yeah.
He can see that all kinds of advertising and billboards and everything and magazines and print ads are all just black and white. And they just say things like obey, consume,
watch TV,
marry, reproduce.
Marry and reproduce. Yeah. Spend.
And you look at the dollar bill, it says, this is your God.
This is your God, yeah.
Then he also notices that 1 out of every 3 or 4 people looks like a zombie alien is the best way to describe it. It's kind of cheap effects work.
Right.
But again, Carpenter's working with a limited budget. And the production designers absolutely hated doing these scenes because it was very difficult, apparently.
I want to hear that interview.
Well, yeah, because he's switching between taking his sunglasses off and on. And so they have to do the same scene over and over, but like completely redo all of the set.
Right.
And it was a huge fucking nightmare, apparently. The guys absolutely hated doing it.
Sounds fucking awesome to me.
I believe it. Yeah.
So he realizes that basically there are aliens embedded among us, and they are all brainwashing us to be capitalists, essentially. He confronts some cops in an alleyway.
Well, first off, he confronts a lady in a grocery store. And then she alerts the cops.
He goes to a grocery store, starts seeing a lot of shit, gets really upset about it, and starts insulting a woman.
You look okay.
Yeah.
You look like, your head got dipped in...
You fell in cheese dip in 1957.
yeah.
And then he looks at the Asian lady behind her and he goes, you're okay. And then he looks back at the old white lady and goes, you real fucking ugly. But he stumbles out of there, sees some cops, and starts insulting them. And
they're both ghouls too.
Yeah. And he beats them up and takes their guns. And then he walks into a bank.
Like kills them.
And sees that there's a bunch of aliens in the bank, of course, and just starts shooting up the place.
Yeah, going crazy.
That's where he says his famous line, I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. And if you know that line but have never seen this movie, you probably know from Duke Nukem 3D, a game that was very important to me growing up.
Was it?
I loved it. Yeah. Played it a lot.
My dad got an early copy of it.
No shit.
And we played it on like his work laptop when I was a little kid. And I'm talking like 7. I should not have been playing that game.
that was, you're too young for that.
But it was so good. Like that game, I was like obsessed with that game for like 3 years.
I don't know anything about it except the crappy one-liners. And I know that you can go to a strip club and
second
pinch,
level, baby.
And pinch the
hit
ladies.
Space bar. Shake it, baby.
Give her $1. Yeah.
That's all I know about it.
It was a great game, though. It was a really good first-person shooter, but it was just ripping off like Quake.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah.
Well,
we don't need to go on about Duke Nukem 3D, but like one of the cool things about it is like one of the first-person shooters where you could actually aim up or down.
That's right. Because in Wolfenstein and Doom, you couldn't do that, could you?
Yeah, no. Well, it actually might have done that thing where you like line it up and it shoots vertically or down, but also like it had like pseudo-realistic spaces where it's like, okay, this is supposed to be a city and that's a movie theater, right? And there's the bathroom. Anyways,
it wasn't just like really generic
walls
hell levels like Doom always did. They had a really good like robust map creator too, so there was a lot of like extra maps you could download and play.
Blow it out your ass.
Yep. Oh, and another thing that came from this movie that was in Duke
Nukem.
Just stole everything.
I didn't know this when I was a child, but like ripped off so many movie lines.
Did it?
And also Yippee-Ki-Yay, I'm pretty sure it took also.
Oh, that's right.
I the very first level opens with him going, "Damn, these alien bastards blew up my ride." Like, I don't know.
This is stupid. Yeah.
So he shoots up the bank. He leaves. He goes, grabs this lady that's leaving her job in the parking garage and like tells her to take him to her house. She's very upset about this. She's basically being held hostage. And he tries to get her to look with the sunglasses, but she won't. And then she manages to knock him out and throws him through a window.
Yeah, that was wild.
And he falls out this window several stories, it seems, and rolls down a huge cliff. And he just gets up and stumbles back to
find the construction site to find Frank.
Yes. And he tries to explain to Keith David's character, Frank. And he's like, listen, I want nothing to do with you. He knows him as a serial killer from the news now.
Yeah.
Like, you shot up that bank.
But still is like, here's a week pay.
Yeah. He brings him. He's like, listen, here's your like last week's pay. But like, I don't ever want to see you again. Get the fuck out of my face. And really like Roddy Piper is like, hang on. And he puts on his sunglasses and sees he's not an alien. And he's like, Frank, shit, come here. Like, put these on. And he goes, no, I don't want nothing to do with you. Get away from me. And Nada is insistent, keeps trying to give him the sunglasses. What ensues is one of the greatest fight scenes in any film. It is a nearly 6-minute fight scene.
Yeah.
It goes on so long.
It goes on and on and on. It has often been, parodied and ripped off, most famously in South Park.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so, I can't I can't tell you how good it is. It's so fun.
Well, you could tell us how long they practiced it.
Yeah. So Roddy Piper was a professional wrestler, as I mentioned. So he knew how to sell a hit,
Right.
And Keith David was not, but he was a professionally trained dancer. So he knew how to move,
Yeah.
So he had like the instincts on how to, move his body essentially.
Yes.
But they practiced together in John Carpenter's backyard for weeks for this fight. And, Roddy taught him everything he knew. And it shows like they're having a ball. They enjoyed making this scene so much. And I think John Carpenter like put space in the screenplay for it, obviously, but it just went on and on and on. And they had so much fun doing it. Now, what may or may not be intentional here with this scene is it is a white man fighting a black man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't even clock that.
Because you're not woke, man. You got to wake up.
Well, what I was going to say is like they're both from the same social class, and like, and he's not.
But they're fighting each other.
They are fighting
for
each
no
other.
reason.
And
That's
yeah.
You're right. You go ahead and finish your.
No, it's like the subtext. It's like
I think for sure, yeah.
Well, even early in the movie, they reference like the street preacher. I think like says stuff like, "Oh yeah, they have us all fighting each other," and they don't overtly say over race, but. I think that's very much on purpose.
Frank says the exact same thing after they've resolved their conflict and are in the hotel room. It's like these motherfuckers are watching us like tear each other apart, and it's been them controlling us the whole time. Yeah,
right.
You're absolutely right. This is like a subtle nod to. There's not much difference between me and you, other than the way that we look. But if we're in the same social class, like we are the same people, we have the same lived experience in a way. Yeah.
Well, and even before all of this sci-fi stuff gets introduced, if Frank is having a conversation with Nada at the construction site early on about how fucked up he thinks, he doesn't say the word capitalism, but he's describing capitalism.
Right, yeah.
And he's saying how, what I don't get in this world is like, everybody's got to get theirs, before you can get yours, and fuck you, I got to beat you to it because it's only enough for me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he asks Nada, like, well, what do you think? What's going on with you? And he's like, oh, I just... everybody has their hard times, and a lot of us here are having it right now. But it's America. We'll get our chance. I think we'll get
it.
Yeah, he's like, I still believe in it. We're gonna get a fair day's pay for a hard day's work. Yeah, and it shows to him that he's the naive one, and that's why he wants to rake up Frank.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say is like we don't have context of like what Nada's backstory is, but we have everything that we need to know about Frank. He has a family in Detroit. He immigrated to California to find work because all of the steel mills in
Detroit closed
up, and there's no more work. And it closed up because there's no capital to be gained there. They shipped off the jobs to overseas and whatnot.
This literally happened in the 80s.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. So like he's been experiencing hard times for a long time. Yeah. We don't know anything about Nada. He's a blank slate. But as you say, like,
he delves into his backstory a little bit. He tells Frank that he's been a runaway since he was young.
Oh, that's right. With his father. At one point, his dad just became mean. That's right.
His dad pulled a knife on him one day, and he was like, I'm not dealing with this shit. And he ran away, and he's been like a transient ever since. Right. Just kind of like a vagrant, drifting from place to place looking for work.
Something I heard about why Roddy Piper was like cast in this movie was that it kind of matched his lived experience, where he did leave home at a young age and just was a vagrant. He like got into like wrestling or whatever, like street fighting, and he wanted that authentic, tough man look.
I didn't know that because Jared told me that John Carpenter went to WrestleMania 3 and it was
that too.
No, that's where he met Roddy and was like, listen, like I want to put you in a movie. Like I've got a role for you. But Roddy helped flesh out the character. Yeah. And I do think Roddy actually wrote that monologue.
Yeah.
And I think it's more true than it isn't too.
Okay.
I think that it actually, I don't know if there is an official, like if he has like a memoir out or anything, but I do think that closely lines up to what, because he was a teenage runaway.
I gotcha.
And he had been, like you said, Steven, a street fighter since he was like 15. And that's how he got into wrestling.
Yeah.
So like he had been doing that his whole life.
I guess what I would get at is the different lived experiences between the two characters, whereas one has been a transient and that's like all he knows, and one had a job and then lost it all because his job got shipped somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so that's why he has maybe more class consciousness where Nada doesn't.
Yeah, it hasn't
is
been
what I'm
ripped
saying.
away
And
from him
also
yet, yeah.
the thing they don't mention with the race thing as well. Like they have different lived experiences.
Right, it's
Right.
unspoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's part of it too.
But I do think it's implied. Like, I don't think Carpenter isn't going to sit there and lay it all out for you. But I think the implication
Which I
is
appreciate.
there. But if you were to ask him about it, he'd probably be like, "Oh, I don't know. I just really liked Keith David. He was really cool." You know?
Well,
I
that
mean-
is enough of a reason.
I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense. He had him in the Thing as well. So.
Right. Oh no,
Yeah.
and I think the reason he cast him in this was because he ran into him at the premiere of Prince of Darkness and was like, "Damn, you look great. Like, you look just as good as I remember you from The Thing." And he's like, "Do you want to be in my next movie?" You know,
Nice.
Yeah. Also, Roddy is no longer with us. Rest in peace. He died a few years ago, but he did speak about this movie a lot. But he is a wrestler, a professional wrestler,
Right. So
And-
he's probably got some backward thoughts.
right? And those guys, well, they kind of mix reality and fiction in a way to be like showmanship. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So there's been some things that he has said that maybe aren't accurate, but he did say that like the homeless encampment bulldozing scene
Yes.
really affected him. He said it was really hard for him to watch because he had seen things like that in real life. You know, because he had been he said himself like he had been homeless in his life because he had been a teenage runaway. And I think he was able to like empathize and like play into that with his character really well because of it. And I think
Gotcha.
that made his casting really apt in this.
Mhm.
Having said that, we were talking about this while we were watching it. He's not a perfect actor.
No.
There are times where he's not selling it, but then I think there are other times where he is.
Yeah.
Like I think when he's in conversation with people, he's very natural.
Yeah, but walking through the bank doors and being like, "I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass."
He's a little unsteady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun though. Like
No, that was
like
fun.
like the wrestler, whatever. Like just things you
Yeah.
say.
I'm not saying that it was
Yeah,
bad,
but
because
yeah.
the line is iconic.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
the way that he delivers it. I mean, you make a good point.
It's
Where
not naturalistic.
If he's having a conversation with somebody,
Yes.
it's he's more engaged because he has somebody to play off of. But when he's
Yeah.
just like, "What do I say? How do I say it?" You know,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, it's a hit or miss.
Yeah. He kind of wavers, but he was. There are a lot of qualifiers from what I read, but he was one of the first wrestlers to star in a major motion picture. And he didn't go on to make a lot of great movies after this. This is maybe the best movie he ever did.
Sure, yeah.
But he, you know, in his lifetime felt that if he hadn't done this, there would be no Rock, there would be no Dave Bautista, you know, many of our huge motion picture stars, Hulk Hogan even.
Well, yeah. Hulk Hogan definitely had a pretty significant film career,
But he was
I think
a
it was-
star. I think that's the qualifier
yeah?
here. Is
he
where-
was the only starring role he had was like Suburban Commando that I can think of.
yeah.
because in the Rocky
And
movie,
not a good
he,
movie.
he was a cameo. He had like 15
Yeah,
minutes. of
he's
screen
cameos
time.
in
All right.
tons of movies,
Yeah.
but not the star.
He's a
Okay.
cameo in Gremlins too.
Oh man, I need
well,
to watch
depending
that
on the
again.
version you watch.
Oh, did they have him
They
cut out?
replaced it with John Wayne for the home video release.
Really?
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know
because
that.
he's yelling at the gremlins in the projection
Yeah,
booth.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so when they put it out on VHS or on TV, they switch it out with John Wayne being on a different channel. It's dude, we're gonna do Gremlins too one day.
I did
sounds
not know
fun.
that.
Yeah, there's two different cuts of that. Yeah.
That's wild. It was on for whatever reason, Cartoon Network was
Wow.
Adult Swim was playing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's Gremlins. And then Hulk stood. I was like, oh, hey, there he is.
Yeah.
Wild.
But yeah, he thinks that he set the bar. Like, and it took years, I think, for people to take wrestlers more seriously, though.
Yeah.
To not just be in comedic roles, you know. And obviously, The Rock did what
He was in Scorpion King.
The Rock
I
did.
saw that in theaters with my dad.
That was a big fucking deal when that came out.
I know.
Everyone was like, The Rock is in it.
Yeah.
That's all I knew because
it was a big deal.
That's why my dad took me to the movie.
Yeah, and now it's like,
come on, son.
you want to see this movie? Is The Rock in it? I don't want to see it.
I think of like the wrestler actors. Batista's probably
Batista!
Well, John Cena's fun
John
too.
Cena's really good.
Oh, okay. John's, yeah, I'll take that.
Batista
I'll take
can
that.
do serious roles, but John Cena has
Listen,
got the comedy.
If you
down.
put tiny little glasses on my boy Batista,
Yeah, I
I
know.
will be seated. I will have the entire robot out.
I'm aware. But yeah.
Well, did you ever watch Peacemaker?
Yes, it's
Oh, yeah.
It's very funny, but he also had like
Yeah,
I think he does well
He has
dramatically as well.
surprising
That's true.
range in it. Yeah,
You're not wrong.
Yeah, he does.
You're not wrong, but
Batista obviously has done more dramatic stuff.
yeah. I'm sorry. I love Dave Bautista, but it's got to be Cena for me, man.
Batista's number one for me.
That's
also,
fine.
he's so insecure about himself. Have you seen that interview?
No. We've talked about this before and how he does not need to think about himself like that. It's very unfortunate. I hate that.
Yeah,
that he thinks he's ugly because he's not. He's a handsome guy.
I know. Yeah,
we were talking about They Live, and we were on the fight scene.
Oh,
right.
And how it's a commentary on how the capitalist elite have us fighting.
The fucking proletariat are trying to keep, us fighting between the races, just trying to keep us all down.
That's right, dude.
Trying to keep us listen, man.
Subjugated, man.
Yeah. We're all on the same side, man.
We got to rage against the machine, man.
But yeah, it's a beautiful fight scene. It goes on and on and on. It's so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But it does end. No, okay. I'm not done with this. No, they are selling it so well because we don't get fight scenes like this anymore.
This is true.
They are both exhausted throughout this fight. Like it gets to the point where they are holding each other up, and trying to catch their breath before they make the next swing at each other.
I will say the only movie that I've seen that even has a fight scene remotely like this, where both actors are exhausted and there isn't a lot of quick cuts and shit, is there's a duel between Timothée Chalamet and some guy in The King, I believe it's called.
Oh wow.
It's the one about King Charles V. Was
this the one where they fight in the mud and that's how he wins?
That happens,
I saw this at your house.
That happens later on in the movie. This is at the beginning. There's
Pattinson's in it.
Yes, Robert Pattinson's in it as a French royal or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a character challenges Timothée Chalamet to he leads a army to fight against Timothée Chalamet's younger brother, who is played by the kid from Game of Thrones. And instead of having two armies fight, Timothée Chalamet shows up as I'll just duel you.
He's like, I don't want to risk my people. Let's just you and me fight.
So they slap down their helmets. So obviously the stunt actors are in the fucking suits, but it is fucking awesome. They're they swing their swords maybe 4 or 5 times, and then they get fucking exhausted and take it to the ground, and they just start beating the shit out of each other. And you can see whomever's in the suits are getting fucking tired. They're breathing like crazy. Their swings are getting more and more sluggish. They're both taking out their little daggers to fucking stab each other and shit. It fucking rules. The movie's actually fantastic.
What is the movie again?
I want to say it's called The King. I'm going to look it up, but you can keep talking.
Sounds interesting.
It was a really good movie. I watched it at his house randomly one day. Well, yeah, no, they're selling the fight really well. It's not highly choreographed, and there's not a lot of quick cuts, like we said. But the guys are also getting exhausted while they're beating the hell out of each other.
They look like they're having fun.
They do.
It kind of does feel like they're breaking character a little bit through the fight.
Yeah,
but in a good way.
It's a John Carpenter movie, so it's part of the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything is fun. There's an elevation to it. Also, at one point, Nada breaks the back window of Frank's car, and he kind of stops and apologizes, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm so sorry." It's so good.
Oh yeah. My fucking car, man.
Yeah, I love the first time that Nada goes to swing for Frank's nuts too. He goes, "You dirty motherfucker!"
It's so good. It's on Netflix, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah,
the King.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. So after that fight, Nada manages to get the sunglasses on Frank.
What do you see?
He sees some aliens down the alleyway, and he's like, "See, man, they're fucking everywhere." Now they're on the same side. They're holding each other arm in arm, holding each other up, and they stumble back to a hotel. And they decide to join the resistance, which they happen to find immediately that night.
Yeah. It moves pretty quickly.
Oh, it moves so fast after this. They run back into Holly, the girl that threw Nada out the window, and she's now part of the resistance. And she's like, "Hey, I found your sunglasses and saw what you were trying to show me." So
she doesn't say that, but I guess
it's implied. I think.
Yeah.
I found your sunglasses. I think is what it was.
And it's mentioned at this meeting that the resistance is trying to figure out there's a transmitter in town that's broadcasting a signal that's making so that no one can see the aliens.
It's like a filter.
And they want to shut it down. And Holly mentions that she works at a TV studio. And so knowing that the meeting gets ambushed by the police, tons of side characters from the Resistance get murdered here. And I mean, just blown to bits by cops with machine guns.
Yeah.
Nada and Frank manage to escape and grab one of the aliens' watches and use it to teleport to the underground lair where the aliens are hiding and having a big gala where they're celebrating all of the humans that have sold out and become rich by enslaving the other humans, basically, and selling out our environment.
Was it like, on average, you've received a
39% increase of your health.
Yeah.
It's also explained here that the aliens are here to... Earth is essentially like a developing nation to them, and they're here to like exploit us. You know, they are essentially the new colonialists of space, and they are exploiting all of the humans of Earth by stealing our resources, but like are giving wealth, sharing wealth with the humans that are willing to sell out the other humans and join up and assist them.
You mean class traders?
Exactly, class traders, if you will. And also, they are trying to accelerate climate change on Earth so that the climate will be more adaptable for them.
Yeah, and that's something that like the scientist on the TV says, like they're turning our environment to their environment.
Yeah, and it's also mentioned at the gala too about how they're increasing greenhouse gases and all and carbon emissions and all this stuff because like I think the other guy from the homeless camp that they meet up with that has now become a sellout in a suit with a martini.
He's the one who says,
I think he mentions like, yeah, they're doing something like that. I don't know. But they're explaining that like, yeah, they're accelerating climate change like because it benefits them in the end. And it's like, yeah, but that means that like Earth is going to suck for humans soon, you know? Like,
Jared, that's very woke.
I know.
Was this movie made in 2021?
No, but listen.
It's timeless.
It's timeless, yeah.
Woke.
This was also like climate change was a thing, but it was not like as commonly understood at the time.
Yeah,
right.
But
I think in the 80s, people talk about the ozone layer a lot more than like.
Well, and that was a pressing issue. But hey, guess what? We fixed it with regulation.
It got fixed.
We fixed the whole. That's like I love when you see people like you don't hear about the ozone layer. Like, yeah, because we fucking fixed it. We made it illegal
California
to put out
was like smoggy as fuck, and now it's not.
Yeah, well, just wait.
But hey,
it's coming.
You know,
it's coming, baby. Smog is coming back.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Exactly. We're getting rid of the EPA, baby, and no more vaccines. Polio's coming back,
baby. Dude, polio's when it comes back, it's gonna be so back.
It's gonna be so sick.
So sick, dude.
Did you just send me a reel?
I did. Don't worry about it.
Stop looking at reels.
No, I wasn't. Look, dude, you were talking about something I had nothing to say, and it's
he was
funny.
Bored.
No, that's not the case. That's not the case. It was something fucking funny. I didn't want it to disappear. It's Breloom shooting using bullet seed on a CEO.
Fucking dopamine addict over there.
Yes,
you're hitting your jewel, and you're like,
yeah, I totally smoke a fucking jewel, dude.
So they watch this giant gala. Where, everybody's talking about how they've sold out and how much money they've made. They run into one of the guys from the homeless camp that has like now sold out and is like, hey fellas, looks like you decided to join up, huh? You know, and
you should have wore a better suit.
Yeah, and he gives them the grand tour and is showing off all the like how they come from space through this teleporter and how they run everything now.
Yeah, and he throws out a surprising amount of like he's like, I don't understand this, but it's some kind of a gravity lens by which it works.
So funny.
And he's so funny.
He's selling it so well. Like he's trying to be like a simpleton.
Yeah,
that is just giving them just a convenient amount of information. Yeah. It's so good.
I heard something like that.
And then he takes them to the like a newsroom where they're broadcasting the news, and that's when they decide to reveal that they're not actually in on it, and they pull out their guns and kill the security guards and try to break in, but dude teleports away.
Oh yeah, he gets away.
He gets away. You never see him.
Was he never see you guys? He like
see you fellas, and pulls like a ain't on a stinker. You know?
Yeah, he's like a Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
But then they managed to get into the news station, and they're like, listen, the radio transmitter's probably on the roof. You know, I bet if we could blow it up, we could stop the transmission. And so they start working their way through the floors and like mowing people down, terrifying all of the office workers and shit in there. They run into Holly finally, who works there. Holly joins up with them. And when they get to the roof, Holly and Frank split up, and Holly turns and shoots Frank.
Yeah, I was fucking pissed.
You were devastated.
I was pissed.
Yeah,
the moment
I
she
know.
pulled the gun out and shot him in the head, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Very upsetting.
I was mad, genuinely.
But and then Nada gets to the transmitter, figures out where I got to blow this up. And that's when Holly comes out and reveals that she killed Frank. And so he's like surrounded now, and he decides to just blow it up. And
Yeah, fuck it.
he goes out with it, but he is able to destroy the transmitter. So what that means is like everybody, I guess within that vicinity,
Yeah.
can now see
Without
the reality.
Well, before that happens, he just gives a middle
Yeah, he does.
finger.
Oh yeah, he flicks them off
just,
as he dies,
after the helicopter shoots him,
Yeah.
he just gives a good middle finger to I guess the satellite. I don't know, or just to everybody.
everyone.
My
It's a
favorite
general
thing
finger.
is that it's not just that he lifted it up too. He had his other hand lift up his arm.
Pull up his hand. Yeah,
You could see his other hand lifted up. It's great. It's
he's
so
dying.
good.
It takes a lot of effort.
That's true. That's true.
had
It's just
to.
like Constantine flipping off the devil as he's floating up
Oh my
to
God.
heaven.
It's great. I love that scene.
I know you
that
do.
movie is not super strong, but that whole end is so good.
The devil, whatever that guy's name is, he's great in that.
Matthias Nielsen,
Yeah,
I think is his name.
one of my favorite
He's the dude from Fargo.
fun
yeah.
depictions of the devil.
Yeah. And then isn't Tilda Swinton like
Yes.
the angel?
Angel Gabriel.
Gabriel, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Killer ass movie.
What a grab.
Yeah.
I love Tilda Swinton.
Yes.
But yeah, and so we get like a little cut across like the city as like people are seeing like the filter come down, technically like the signal.
Yeah.
And they're seeing that there's aliens around them everywhere.
Yeah.
And the best one is there's a couple having sex.
That's the last one.
That is the last
scene.
one.
I'm just cutting right to that one because it's the best one. But you see a topless woman having sex, and she stops and looks down at the guy, and the camera cuts to him, and he's a really ugly ass alien, and he goes, "Hey, what's wrong, baby?"
Cut to credits.
That's the credits.
It's so good. I think the very first one, it made me laugh a lot, which was like I think it's two news reporters, a male and a female.
Oh, yeah.
and then you just start seeing people running around and like kind of screaming, and so he says, "Gloria, you look like shit."
Yeah, that's right. You look like shit. And they're talking
good.
about George Romero and John Carpenter.
Right.
Oh, that's when we see the Siskel and Ebert show.
Yeah, and it's an alien.
But there was no sex in this movie until right at the end. They're like, "Oh wait, we made this point. We gotta throw boobies in
Yeah,
here
yeah.
right now."
Yeah, I like how there's boobs at the end,
just at the
not at the beginning to like
As a treat.
titilize. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna send them home with some titties. You know,
you made it. Yeah. Well, that was the movie.
that's the whole
That
movie.
was-
Yeah, it ends with boobs.
It ends with boobs. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So
So
John,
that's what you remember going home. Like it kind of undermines it.
right? You just remember boobs, boobs and
It
alien.
undermines the whole movie.
Maybe John Carpenter is one of these ghouls. He made it just to trick us. You know that QAnon believers think that movies are actually the people in power laughing at us. It's actually the scripts entirely.
Well,
Are you
I
getting
don't know
to-
if we want to get into that. If we're
I would love to if that's something that like because I know that the right wing's co-opted this film. have they
Yeah,
not?
that's basically what I was going to say. It's
Let's get into it.
What do you got, Jared? Let's
All
hear
right.
it.
So, number one, John Carpenter hired real quote unquote homeless folks for their production for several scenes around the homeless encampments. And even several characters. He also gave them food as well as paychecks. Roddy Piper remarked on this. I thought it was a pretty classy thing to do. So that's nice. You know?
That is nice.
Yeah. It was Roddy Piper himself who came up with the now famous one-liner, "I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum."
great.
Now, there are two different stories about this. Roddy has one version. Carpenter has another. And Roddy is like, I came up with it on the day. Carpenter was like, Roddy gave me a book of lines he wrote for his wrestling persona that he hadn't used yet. And I found that in there and was like, this is so good. Can you use this one?
I gotcha.
So Roddy did come up with it. Just he didn't improv it on the day, you know. The big fight sequence was designed, rehearsed, and choreographed in John Carpenter's backyard. The fight between Roddy Piper and Keith David was only supposed to be 20 seconds long originally.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but Piper and David decided to fight it out for real, only faking hits to the face and groin. They rehearsed the fight for 3 weeks in total. Carpenter was so impressed that he kept the scene intact, and it runs 5 minutes and 20 seconds long.
That's awesome.
Years later, on the documentary In Search of Darkness, David recounted the event smiling giddily as he said, "It was good fun. I never felt safer in any fight." Piper, a professional wrestler, coached David on how to sell the look of the punches and savage moves in exaggerated form, making it appear more brutal than it actually was. Roddy Piper credits John Carpenter with jumpstarting the wrestler-turned-actor migration that I mentioned earlier. He says, I was the first wrestler ever in the history of wrestling to star in a major studio motion picture that became the #1 box office of the weekend. And there's like 4 qualifiers in there, but
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, like the Hulk was doing films too, so you had to like really figure it out.
Starring role's big though.
It is. It's huge. He's in the entire fucking movie.
Yeah. Vince McMahon, owner of WWF.
What former?
Was it E or F?
It was
first?
It was F, and then they got sued by the World Wildlife Foundation.
Yeah. So it was E. It was WWF. Anyway, Vince McMahon did not want Roddy Piper to do the film. And yeah, I figured, said John Carpenter. McMahon told Piper that he would find him a different role with the same pay rate within a few weeks. But Piper passed and ended up splitting up with the WWF to film this movie.
It's good.
And they would go on to hire him back again because he was so fucking hot because of this movie.
Yeah.
And he got hired on at a better rate too.
Vince is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I
fuck that man.
If you know Vince's name, you know he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like it's like well known by this point, when it was already pretty, wrestling people knew it, but like it's like now common knowledge how much of a piece of shit he was.
To be the future Mr. Secretary of Education.
Yep.
Yeah.
His wife is in Trump's cabinet.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's move on before I say something I have to cut out.
Home and DDTs me. That'd be fucking tight.
Yep. Dad, look what I learned in school today.
Bam! Oh, I'm so proud of you, son. Take me to the hospital.
The scene where the police attack and destroy the homeless encampment was difficult for Roddy Piper to shoot, as it reminded him of similar events he witnessed in his own life. It was a painful scene for me, he said. Roddy Piper recalled it being uncomfortably easy getting into the mindset of a homeless person. I lived on the street myself, he says, so it didn't take long to kind of get the feeling of what's going on. Everybody's got their own life, and they think that's it. Nobody's helping anybody.
A small thing I wanted to point out about the homeless camp was that it was called Justiceville, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is like kind of a reference to like Hooverville, like the camps that formed around the White House during the Hoover administration before.
Yeah, after during the Depression, right?
The Depression.
Yeah.
It was a reference to the Depression, I think.
For sure, yeah, because we had our own Depression in the 80s.
Yeah.
Writer-director John Carpenter has said of the movie that it was a critique of Reaganomics, a vehicle to take on Reaganism. However, over the years, several neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups have co-opted the movie for their own purpose, spreading rumors that it is really an allegory for Jews controlling the world. This forced Carpenter to respond on Twitter in 2017 by stating, "They Live is about yuppies and unrestrained capitalism. It has nothing to do with Jewish control of the world, which is a slander and a lie."
Nice. I'm glad that old man Carpenter got on the fucking Twitter.
Yeah,
to
set
do
the
that.
fucking
That's
record
good.
straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, like The Matrix, this is a movie that uses a sci-fi premise to parallel real-world socioeconomics.
Yeah.
And has unfortunately been co-opted by really stupid people.
Yeah.
Right.
With the red pill community.
Right.
The Matrix co-opters. And again, completely runs afoul of everything the creators believe and stand for. Especially with, the writers and directors of the Matrix, now both being trans.
Yeah.
And obviously, I do not think the red pill community is a friend to the trans community.
No, they are not.
It might be an understatement.
Although I will say, and you can cut this out if you want to, what's his name? Andrew Tate was asked, would you rather have sex with Megan Fox with a dick or Hulk Hogan with a vagina? And he said, Megan Fox all day. She still looks like a woman.
Jesus Christ.
So, potential trans ally, Andrew Tate.
Great.
Okay, I don't know if that's making the cut.
Yeah, you can get rid of that. That's fine. He did say that, though.
No, I believe you. I believe you. It wasn't the authenticity of the quote that
he's awful. But he did say that.
John Carpenter recalled an early screening at Los Angeles City Walk where a young kid exited the film seemingly confused with what he had seen. He had been brought up with Rambo films, he said. He was expecting it to be jingoistic and rah-rah, but it bothered him a little. That the point of the film was instead the idea of class divide. And you know what?
That kid woke up.
All the better for it. Yeah, man.
He woke up that day and did nothing.
Sometimes you got to see a movie that challenges you.
That's
makes
true.
You feel
I agree.
uncomfortable. The first time I saw Mulholland Drive, I was angry.
I've never seen that. I don't even know what that is.
I like Mulholland Drive quite a lot.
No, I've really come around on it.
Yeah.
But like, I was just having that problem with David Lynch movies when I first watched them as like a 19, 20-year-old, where I was initially frustrated and like very angry about them.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got older, you learn to accept the beauty and dreamlike logic that they operate on.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get so wrapped up in the fact that it's not a to B to C kind of movie, if that makes sense. You know, especially Mulholland Drive may be the worst offender because it is, the whole movie is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that. I feel like it might not be the most difficult of his movies, like in terms of being convoluted, but or
what's your pitch? That is then.
Oh shit, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm calling you out, man. Because
I feel like I kind of got it, or at least sort of understood it. Like I don't know.
I think there's an argument to be made that like all of Twin Peaks season 3 is more.
Oh yeah, that is.
And especially if you're coming into it as a Twin Peaks fan, you're incredibly frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
But like people were so upset with Mulholland Drive at the time. I remember, and as was I. I remember thinking this is just pretentious bullshit. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and then you just learn to be like, no, I see what he's doing here. It's really good. I love this, kind of thing.
Yeah. And like Eraserhead feels pretty straightforward.
See, I think Eraserhead was what unlocked it for me.
Oh yeah,
because that movie never pretended to be. Because that movie was so strange, but it started from as such an abstraction that I was able to buy into it being kind of an artsy, dreamlike film that was just playing on the ideas of like fears and insecurities, and I was able to follow it along better, and that's what helped unlock Lynch's filmography for me and kind of accept it better. And so I was primed for Twin Peaks season 3 finally when it aired, and I was like, oh, I'm ready for this. Did I understand what I was watching? Absolutely not.
Yeah. And I think some of it's not there to be understood. It's just meant to be felt.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you try to make sense of it, you're kind of taking the fun away from it too. Like you don't need to figure out the electricity and the cream corn have to do with anything.
The Garmonbosia.
What?
Yeah,
the fuck.
We've completely lost Will.
About?
I'm so sorry.
I don't watch.
He's never dabbled in this. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe.
Where do you even begin with him? Yeah.
Whoa, what the fuck? That was almost as bad as a slur. What the fuck do you mean by that?
No, I mean like you've never seen a Lynch film, right?
Yeah,
I mean you could just.
Where would you start?
I love
just
that.
go straight to
Eraserhead.
Yeah.
Where would you
because
start
like
with
I would do Eraserhead because it's like I mean it is really upsetting and like it feels like in a way like it would be difficult to understand.
But with him being a father,
I think you'd get it.
Yeah.
I think
it is about like the terrors of getting married and having a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't afraid of either of those things.
Oh no, you'll see.
Maybe you won't.
You'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll
well,
see.
hey, guess what? I'm not going to watch it unless you force me to watch it.
Okay.
We're doing it for the pod.
There we go. Cool.
Steven is invited to that episode.
Yeah. I've never watched any of David Lynch's stuff.
I mean, I think the most successful one would be was it Elephant Man?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. I've seen Elephant Man.
Okay.
That's like his. It's like a biographical film, so it's not really.
No, it's not. That didn't strike me as whimsical or any of that nature. Like I've seen that. Yeah,
it's probably his most. What would you call
down
it?
to
grounded,
popular? No,
mainstream.
Not even mainstream. No, because that's a straight story.
Yeah,
the straight story was at Disney. It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It's a movie about a guy riding his lawnmower 3 straights over to visit his brother. It's incredible. It's a true story. It's incredible.
Okay.
I cried my eyes out.
Okay,
so
right
good.
on.
I'm interested.
Yeah, it's rated G. It's the only David Lynch movie not rated R.
That's tight.
Anyway. That's all my trivia.
Sorry, one real quick. When you were talking about the first thing on your trivia, for some reason it made me think of that that fucking RoboCop behind the scenes thing where the guy's like, Robo's angry. Robo wants an Oreo.
That's really funny. No. I think I've heard of it, but it sounds really, really funny.
I saw it a couple weeks ago and I sent it to Jared, and Jared was like, Yeah.
It's from a documentary that they made like just a couple years ago about the making of RoboCop. It's called RoboDoc. Yeah.
It's so fucking good, dude. She cracks me.
I gotta see that. It sounds really funny.
Oh, Steven, do you have anything? I see you holding your phone. You got
what you got, baby?
Let's see. The only other things I want to point out. Let's see. The both having the glasses on for a period of time. It also it seems like sometimes when the signals coming in and out, like when they're watching the TV, it causes people pain.
Yeah, like stabbing.
And like I think it kind of goes along with like all the resistance that both Keith David and Holly have to putting on the glasses. It's like how it's. How it sucks to recognize these things.
Oh, yeah. It makes your life significantly worse because, like, now you have to live in that society, like, knowing that shit's awful like that.
Yeah, in the film, it's like you get a headache when the signal is, like, removed from you. Because when they wear the sunglasses, every time they take them off, they like wince in pain. They're like,
well, it's because they say it happens when they have them on too long.
Glasses on for too long. Yeah.
Right, and it's because they're removing themselves from the signal.
Yeah.
I think it's because the signal is probably giving you dopamine too, to like lull you, you know? And it's saying, I think that's a comment on like, being in ignorance of something is, a way to feel good. Even though bad things are happening, you're not aware of them. So you're not being depressed or anxious about them kind of thing. It's such a good allegory, man.
Dude, the movie's fantastic. I'm genuinely shocked I've not like actually watched it.
Yeah, and I know, same.
People have been trying to get me
so long. Yeah.
Michael Blackman tried to get me to watch this shit like literally.
Oh, this is 100% a Michael Blackman movie. Yeah,
it's crazy. Like we were hanging out and he's like, "Oh, what was it?" He showed me one of George Romero's like other films that a guy kills like a bunch of people with a fucking lawnmower. And he's like, "Isn't this shit fucking crazy?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's awesome." He's like, "You should watch They Live. It's even more wild." I'm like, I guess I'll watch it some other time.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember which Romero movie it is, but a monkey bites a person and it causes like a disease to break out. And at a certain point, the protagonist picks up a lawnmower and fucking like kills zombies with it.
Wow.
I cannot remember what movie this was, but we were at our friend Javier's house and he put it on the background and I played Magic and watched this movie and I was like, this is fucking crazy.
Sounds wild.
Yeah.
All right.
And then he was like, you need to watch They Live. If you like this, you need to watch They Live. I'm like, eventually I will. Hey, Mike, guess what?
We made it,
later,
baby.
we did it.
Well, yeah, I do love to quote that critic earlier that this movie is a smart movie wrapped in a dumb movie.
Right.
I do love that it is like a class consciousness film wrapped in like kind of a dumb dude bro action film.
But how do you wake up the normies without getting asses in seats?
Yeah,
exactly, man.
Subtlety is overrated.
And I think The Matrix would go on to take this mantle later. But it is a bit of a heady movie because I remember being like, everyone told me like in school, like I was like, my favorite movie is The Matrix, and everyone would be like, oh, I didn't understand that movie, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you didn't understand it? It explains itself. Well, Morpheus said everything.
I never got to see it. That's the thing is like, man, growing, like I saw The Matrix when I was an adult.
Yeah.
Because my mom was very protective over me. Like, I didn't get to see Mortal Kombat, like it was pulling teeth to see movies that were like not for kids, obviously.
Yeah. Like rated R stuff.
Yeah. So like I'm coming late to the party on certain things. Also, subtlety is not overrated, Steven. That's a bold statement, but I mean, like in a way, I agree with
enjoy
you.
it, but like if you're like trying to like put a message out there, like, and you really have to think
especially for a film though.
Yeah, for
like subtlety be damned. Like I know authors who use subtext and they're all cowards, to quote Garth Murphy. but like when you're making a film, like you don't need to make it naturalistic. Like you can just have fun. Like the whole thing's a farce. You can have fun and like make it bombastic and larger than life kind of thing. Like make the cops faceless agents of the state.
Oh, they definitely did do that.
Yeah, this movie screams ACAB with its whole chest, essentially.
I guess there's times where you can and times where you can't, but like you're right in this instance where like subtlety be damned, because this is like get your ass in the seat and now I'm going to teach you a lesson, but it's going to be
but you're going to have fun. It's not just a Karl Marx lecture.
Right.
It is also like there's a dude blowing people away with great one-liners.
Yeah, like it needs to be digestible. And people won't miss the point, which obviously people still do.
I know, right?
So maybe. No, it doesn't matter at all, and you can just say whatever you want.
People walked out of
hear what they want to hear.
Yeah, people walked out of The Matrix with Zach De La Rocha screaming "Wake up!" The government killed Malcolm X, and thought that movie was about how you need to be mean to women and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yep. Yeah. It's yeah.
yeah.
I don't know how to figure it out. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like you do need to work on the messaging. I'm trying to think of like any other points of.
No. I think that through the summary and also like specifically when we were talking about the fight, I think everything that you really need to know about the movie is like right there. Talking about, you know, you have more in common with your neighbor than you do a CEO kind of thing,
and you are never like they want you to think that you can be as rich as they are.
Oh yeah, and it's never going to happen.
Exactly,
it's never going to happen.
Yeah,
it's true. Like,
I mean, the one guy was wearing a tuxedo at the end, and he was having a great time.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
Fellas, I thought you understood.
Yeah, I thought I had a lot in common with you.
But he's never going to be as rich and powerful as the aliens.
Sure, I mean, all the humans in this are going to. It's not going to end well for that.
Yeah,
but I mean, if you're talking about transferring this to real world, there aren't aliens. It's just humans doing this to each other.
Yeah,
but for profit.
Yeah, for profit.
Yeah. For short-term gain.
Yeah.
That is kind of why I love this allegory, though, because it's like when you try to rationalize why people are doing what they do, why all of the billionaires in Trump's cabinet are as fucking insane as they are and are trying to destroy the planet, you have to think, but why? It can't just be money. They already have more money than God. Like, what else can they do with it? And that is why the allegory of like, oh, well, they're space aliens that are trying to destroy Earth. Right. That's why it works.
That's better reasoning than I'm just a greedy dragon and I need a horde as much as I possibly can.
And they don't care they have no empathy for other people. They purely are just trying to do something because it enriches their own lives.
Yeah.
You know?
It's really messed up. And you will never be as rich as Elon Musk, no matter how much you suck his dick. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely. If anyone's a fucking alien, it's Elon, buddy.
That's true. That's true. Do you guys watch anything recently? Done anything cool recently? I'm not trying to like shoehorn Wicked in here. I'm just I'm asking before you politely ask me back. Will, have you seen anything?
If you put sunglasses on during Wicked, is it just black words on the screen that say "consume"? Like buy, sing.
Sure. Yeah.
Don't stop eating.
Don't judge it until you watch it.
So like, all right, we're coming up on it, but like I do remember at the end of the movie, like I think they say by 2025, Earth will be under control of the alliance of the aliens and the human elite.
Jesus Christ, are you serious?
Yeah, the 2025 is when they estimate.
Oh no, that was Project 2025.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Dude, maybe Elon Musk is an alien. Maybe this is a documentary.
Every movie we've covered has like one thing that's like, literally, this is going to happen like right when they said it was.
That's fucking crazy, actually. Oh my God, you're fucking right.
Yeah, I didn't even think Project 2025. I was just thinking, oh yeah, this next year. But
Children of Men is 2027. V for Vendetta is nondescript, if I'm not mistaken.
Also, the London Olympics that were they knew it was coming. That's right. In Children of Men, he has like that sweatshirt that says the London Olympics in the future date, but it was because it was announced like way in the future.
Yeah,
they didn't predict that like Akira did. They predicted the Tokyo Olympics in the future.
that is true.
Yeah,
and then in Snowpiercer, even then it was like 2017 was when they were going to shoot off the
climate change
stuff. Yeah, that's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, we got chemtrails.
Hey, do you like a dystopia? Because you're in one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, to the oh my God, the Pirates of the Caribbean quote. Yeah. Fellas, I think we're winding down.
All right.
Well, anyways, I saw Wicked. It was good.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, it was good.
I love that for you.
Great.
It was great. I was holding space for it. Jesus. Also, hey, real quick though, I did recently rewatch that second Spider-Verse movie. The one with Miles Morales.
The one that is half a movie, yeah.
Yes, the one that is half a movie. It has more in common with Snowpiercer than I had ever considered.
Say more.
Okay, so the whole concept of the spider web being held together by the one Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, is contingent on specific deaths.
Yes.
You cannot save everybody.
Right. Canon events, which was like a whole thing on Instagram and TikTok for a while.
Yeah, because it's funny, because it's a silly little thing. Like,
yeah, but Okay, sure.
Anyways. So the idea is there is some acceptable human loss in order for the whole societal thing to be held together, right? And Miles Morales is pointing at the door on the side of this the train and being like, no, I have to save everybody. I'm gonna do my own thing. And because he wants to save everybody, because no life is insignificant to him. If the whole society is built on,
and in particular, it was his dad is the thing too, right?
It wasn't just his dad, because he saved the quote unquote police lieutenant of a different world, and it caused that world to collapse. Because like, I saved that person. He shouldn't have to die. Nobody should have to die. And if you are living in a society where there is acceptable losses,
like contingent upon someone's death,
exactly, then that society need not exist, and we need to find a different way. So I was like watching it, I was like, oh shit, this is like weirdly like Snowpiercer in a weird way.
It was weird when Miles Morales shot that healthcare CEO though.
It was, you know what's wild too? So here's the thing, he's the perfect one to do it though, because he can turn invisible and he's not minority, because
my God. Italians, the new minority.
It's great.
Coming next year.
Oh yeah, dude. Italians are no longer white.
My God.
Steven, do you have any closing statements before we wrap up?
It's a good movie. It's fun. I think it's pretty easy to, get what he's getting at, but I mean, maybe not everybody gets it. I like They Live. It's fun.
Hell yeah. Well said. They live, we sleep, baby.
Yep.
Well, folks, that's been our show. Thank you for listening to Debaser. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on your podcast app and follow us on social media by searching for @DebaserPod. Our guest today has been Steven Meadows. Steven, where can people find you? And do you have anything to plug?
I got nothing new to plug. I'm still not really active on social media.
Hey, so you're living your best life, baby.
Thanks for
something
asking.
to be proud of. Yeah,
I'm playing Persona 5 now. That's fun.
Fucking A.
I'm late to that bandwagon. Anyways, that's what's going on with me.
My wonderful co-host is Will. Will, where can people find you? And do you have anything to plug right now?
You can find me on Instagram at I fucked up my my handle.
Pocket underscore
infinity. Nothing's happening right now. I'm on work hiatus.
I have a plug.
Yeah, let's hear it.
As of now, oh yeah.
Oh, that's
It's been out for weeks now, so I probably have already announced it on a different episode. But hey, there's another podcast out right now called Reno Championship Wrestling, or RCW for short. So just search for like RCW Podcast or Reno Championship Wrestling Podcast. It is written and created by my brother-in-law, Kyle Brown, who you may know as the creator behind King Falls AM, a very successful podcast. But he has worked on this new wrestling podcast for the last few years. I was very fortunate enough to play a small role in it. I forget which episodes I'm in, but I'm in like 2 or 3 of them. I had so much fun working on it. The people on it are so incredible. Obviously, like, I know Kyle, like, we go way back, we're family.
Yeah.
But a lot of his like friends from King Falls like work on this show, and I felt like a fucking amateur. Like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull the curtain
that.
back a little bit since this is the end of the episode. I felt like a fucking amateur recording for this show, but it was so much fun, and they were all such pros. Like, it was so cool.
It's tight.
Yeah, it was a fantastic experience, and I can't wait to listen to it with all of y'all. The first episode is out as I'm recording this, but by the time you're hearing this, I think there's probably going to be 3 episodes out by now.
I've been meaning to listen to it myself.
Yeah,
I just followed it on Spotify.
There you go.
Fucking A. Thank you, Steven. But yeah, go check it out. It's a fun time. It is a scripted podcast because that's what Kyle does. He's a writer. He writes scripts, and then he brings in his,
all the incredible talent he knows.
Yes, incredible actors that come in
And you.
And me,
and you,
an untalented man.
I wouldn't say that,
but no, it was so much fun. I can't wait. Wonderful to be a part of that, though. I can't wait. But yeah, it's called RCW, or Reno Championship Wrestling. Go check it out.
On Spotify, I didn't come up when I typed in RCW, but it did when I did Reno.
There you go. Okay, so yeah, we do the full title then, Reno Championship Wrestling. Thank you for that note, Steven. All right, well, for the Debaser podcast, I'm Jared Rusk. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Debaser is hosted and produced by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. Want to email the show? send it to debaserpod@gmail.com. Want to help us out? Please leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts. Thank you for listening, and take care out there.